What's up, guys? What's going on? I'm Paul. This is Pauline Theology's daily devotional, and we're going through the book of John. We are studying deep into Jesus, and right now we are on the Passion, the narrative that talks about his death. This is, so far, has been a pretty grueling and tough situation, as we've seen a mock trial, and now we've seen a harassed treatment of a man whom the person who treated him harassingly or harshly said he was guiltless, he was faultless, that there was no reason for this to happen, man. So if you've been reading with us, we are in John chapter 19, verses 4 and 5. If you haven't read it yet, go ahead, stop the tape, check it out, see what it has to say, come back, and we're going to answer some questions. If you've already read, let's go ahead and jump into it, man. What's going on? That's the first question. And after Pilate has done these things to Jesus, after he has beat him and mocked him, he brings Jesus back out to the high priest, the ruling elite of the Jews, and to the crowd that's been gathering out there, that's been watching and been observing what's been happening to Jesus. And again, we talked a little bit about Pilate trying to appease man. And that the way that we live sometimes is we try to appease others so that we can gain in prestige or money or clout or whatever it may be. And this is the same thing that Pilate is doing. But at the same time, he's also trying to absolve himself of any responsibility that regards to Jesus. Because what he does is he says, I find no fault on this guy. And so he's like, yeah, so to appease you, I'm going to beat him, but then I'm going to let him go. You know what I mean? He's like, I'm going to do that, but I'm still going to do the right thing. Oh, man, Pilate. Not even just Pilate, though. That is us. We rationalize and justify all these different things in our lives, man. But Pilate also does this. He says, I find no fault in him. But then he says, behold the man. So in one way, he's saying, look at this guy, man. I've read where it said that Pilate is trying to show with one hand how he can maintain clout with the Jews, but also mocking them because he's like, dude, this guy whom you say is trying to be king or some kind of aspect has nothing, man, has no power at all. Look, I've beaten him, I've robed him, and I've crowned him, and he still is nothing. He's just a man. He's just a man. While in reality, he is a man, but he's also God. That's the ironic situation that John has written about and has told us in regards to this situation that Jesus is in. So what's this say about God? Again, man, I think this is the third episode we've been hammering down, but we have said that this shows the love of God. It does, man. It demonstrates his humility that he had to go through for our sake, man. And so if you don't ever feel love, man, just think back on this and recognize the love that Jesus has for you. It doesn't even matter what anybody else does, man. But what Jesus has done, particularly here, taking upon this pain of suffering, but then the mockery. And we ain't even got to the cross where he puts our sin upon him. The spiritual pain that he's going to be going through. And Jesus loves you. And that's what I have to say here is Jesus loves you. What's this say about man? Well, that we're supremely loved. I can't not start with that. If I'm going to talk about the love that God has for us, I have to talk about us receiving that love, that we are supremely loved. That's what it says. But it also says here is that we think we know best. We think we can manipulate situations. And then I think ultimately is the idea that we do things in order to gain status. So this is what Pilate is doing. He's trying to placate the Jewish people so that he can remain in power and position and authority. And he's trying to do it smoothly because he could do it brutally, but he's trying to do it smoothly. And that's what we do, is we do things for others so that way we can maintain some type of status or position regardless of what we know to be true about a situation. And that's in regards to Jesus as well, is that we want to make people feel comfortable as Christians rather than telling them the truth of the gospel, because we don't want to damage the situation. We don't want to damage the relationship. See, Pilate here should have been convicted or convinced to release Jesus because he knew who Jesus was. What does that say about us? If we know who Jesus is, should we not run to speak of his goodness? Should we not run to tell of his greatness so that people can become a part of this community? Despite the chance of being ridiculed and mocked. See, Pilate knew the truth, but he didn't act on it. And us, do we know the truth? And if we do, are we acting on it? How do we apply these truths to our lives, man? It's simple. It ain't easy, because it's never easy to be bold about the gospel. It should be, man. It should be, but it's not. Because of the things he said before about Pilate and about us and our hearts and our desires to be with community and the people around us. But we've got to take the time, recognize God's love for us, what he's done, and then do those things. Share the gospel. So if you know somebody today that doesn't know Jesus, share the gospel. If you know somebody who's walking in sin and destroying their lives because they haven't committed or trusted in the power and the love of Jesus, share the gospel. If you know somebody who needs strength, and the only strength that can be found that's truly able to uplift or bring them out is in Jesus, share the gospel. Trust in Jesus and contemplate in his love. I appreciate you guys for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.